They're like, oh yeah, a guy with Pensy Steam comes in every once in a while. They're not really much. Really test the LED in the headlight, but we'll take this at 10. Proceed to 15. Hello everyone. This is Pensy Joe here, back again with a new in-depth review series video, number 2. And what we got here is a Broadway Limited E6 instead of a box. So I'm going to open this up and we're going to take a look inside. Hopefully everything is in good condition. I'll use this tool right here. Yes, using one hand. Neat. Alrighty. Nope. Well, I guess not that time. Maybe a lot of tape. So this is highly anticipated. I've seen a lot of other reviews out there. And, I don't know, a good amount of people seem to like them. I've seen one review where, hold on. Yeah, I should only need to do it on one side. I guess not. Well. But yeah, I saw one review where the smoke unit wasn't really working correctly. And I don't know what goes on with this guy. But if you want to know who I'm talking about, Dr. Hobby, he does reviews on Broadways as well. He has got all sorts of cool trains and whatnot from other manufacturers as well. I just think it's interesting how he keeps getting like the ones that constantly fail. But here's the thing: I don't really run my smoke units, if not much at all. So yeah, but it's just really interesting. All right. Premier HO scale locomotive. That's just a small box. All right. Broadway Limited Paragon 4. It's got that cardboard sleeve again. Except it's a white box now. I'm not sure why they went for a white box. Guess a little bit cheaper. PRR E6 442, number 460, Lindenberg Special. And this one seems to be the most popular because I've seen so many, even people reviewing, it's always the Lindenberg Special. And I think I know why. It's the most detailed. Now, you can barely tell, but it says Broadway Limited Imports, and it's very faded gray. You almost can't see it. I don't know if you guys can see it on the video, but it says it on the box. It's kind of cool. I just wish it had a little bit more gray or hue to it. So, you know, but it's just a cardboard sleeve. You know, it's. I mean, the last review I did with the centipedes were nice, but this is pretty much the same as the what's it called? Those decapods I got for the I class Pennsylvania Railroad 210-4 I class decapods. So that's where it's in. As you can see, it's got regular white solid foam that protects this. It's not... yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I stated in previous review, I wish they did more like the foam box, which it did. They did for the centipedes, but not for the steam engine anymore. I'm not sure what was wrong with the foam. I'm guessing... they're kind of cheaping out on the boxes a bit. I'm not 100% sure. I got this particular model for a good discount, like a really good discount. I will have a link, and I will come back to this video and do an edit where I have the link for the website of the company or store that I got this from. So, you guys can probably get yourselves a nice deal on one of these Pennsylvania E6s. And I've been looking forward to this, to be honest with you guys. You can see this PRR E6 on the plastic. Wow, how cool. There's a little sleeve as well. Let's try and get this sorted out over here. It's off screen. You guys don't have to see this. Here's the date. 07 of July. Wow. Already I lose like what, 2 months already for a warranty, I guess. I don't know about that. Here's that smoke fluid thing right here, and again, there's no spare parts or anything. There's tires. Tires are good, but no spare wheel set, which is kind of a shame, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be hard to find spare wheel sets of these painted wheels. So before I open the model, let's take a look at, well, we got their warranty right here. You know, typical products showcase, you know, stuff. Function sheet. Now, when I do the running session of this, guys, I'm not going to go through every single function. And you're probably like, why? This is supposed to be in-depth. It is. It is in-depth. However, if you've seen any of my previous reviews, even the shorter ones when I used to do my older review series style, Paragon 3 sounds and Paragon 4 sounds are the same, pretty much. They haven't really changed them up. There's nothing really worth looking into in terms of special sounds or anything like that. I've seen reviews where they haven't really shown, like, when they've done the passenger sounds, but it's just regular passenger sounds. I'm like, this is the Lindenberg Special. There should be like a special, you know, announcement for the Lindenberg engine. You got the operator's manual, which is now white. Pretty basic stuff. Oh, look at that. They're using tweezers to put that. Yeah, tethers. Gotta love them, you know, tethers on these engines are sometimes just too tight for the socket. But yeah, it's pretty much the same as Paragon 3. Same functions and all that stuff. Pretty much same sounds. So, I'm not seeing really the premium ad. Some people's like, you know, the premium price of going up for these models. What is there that they added? So, but I'm glad they still did this model. This is a small box. This is like pretty much like, if you see in the background, there's my 282. It's definitely bigger than my 282, but it's not too much bigger. Let's see. All right, let's easily pull this out. It's kind of tight. Sorry, you can't see that well. Got to do one thing at a time. Ooh, it's a nice ice cube. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna put this to the side right over here, right there. Sorry about the moving around and all that stuff. But yeah, let's open this up. Let's take a look inside. I got some spare tires. Ah, yeah, spare tires. Gotta love that, especially when this engine gets older. Take the cover off, and wowee. Now let's take a comparison with the paint. Keep in mind, this is a Paragon 2. This is a H10. Paragon 2 H10 shell that I'm holding next to it. I'm going to put TCS in this at some point, including the this E6 here. So they're about the same size. I'm surprised. But it's a fat chonker. Boiler is nice and fat. Oh, that's cool. It's got the white inside the marker lights. It's got the green jewels. I really like that. It's a really beautiful engine. Coal load looks nice. Tender looks beautiful. Stripes on here are beautiful. There's a maroon, almost like a Tuscanish stripe. And there's gold pinstripes and white. This is such a beautiful model. Now, some of the details here are pretty nice here too. So the details, from what I can see, are really, really nice. Talk about complaints. I mean, I like, and this is probably why, some of the reasons why people bought the, gotta focus. Some of the reasons why people bought the Lindenberg Special one is because this is what she looked like when she pulled the Lindenberg Special. Obviously, she's preserved. Uh-oh, here's an issue. One of the grab irons kind of came off. That could be fixed. I'm not gonna fiddle with that right now. But yeah, this is what her paint job looked like back in 1927. Even the K-Force had similar paint schemes as well. I'm not sure how many other steam engines had this style, except maybe the D class and maybe some of the G classes in this era probably had it too. We got workable marker lights, which are pretty cool. I mean, the pilot detail is pretty nice. I like some of the hoses and all that stuff, especially the front. Gotta focus again. It's focusing on the wrong thing. There we go. Some steps on the front of the firebox. Not firebox, smoke box. And yeah, there's an interesting piece right here. Let's see if we can focus. No, it wants to focus on something else. Sorry about that. There we go. So this piece right here, that piece, I hear it's, not really accurate, which is understandable. It's supposed to cover the wires, but I mean, it doesn't really bother me that much. Maybe to a rivet counter, and I know a rivet counter who is pretty much bothered by that. Not too much, but like enough. So if you're a rivet counter, you might not like this right here. Belt looks nice. It looks like it's made out of brass and kind of flexes a bit, almost like as if it swings. Now I've heard complaints about the running plates and that they're too thick. I'm guessing these are die cast, but it looks like they're separately applied, and I can tell that, and I'm like, man. If this is separately applied, these running plates, why don't they make these out of brass or plastic so they can make them not thinner? I don't know. I mean, they were kind of thick, and the driving wheels, oh my gosh, the paint job on that is pretty nice. And the driving rods are not bent or anything. Everything looks good, mechanically sound and everything like that. Pilot wheels, the paint job is close to immaculate. It's such a pretty model. This is the only model that I have that has like this kind of 1927, kind of paint job. And his tender is really nice too. I don't think we've had a tender like this for Pennsylvania before by Broadway. I don't think so at all. It's got those old truck designs. Pretty cool. It has a water scoop. Cool. Got rear marker lights, and you got the rear tail lights right here. You got your rear coupler. No KDs. That's an oof. Tender is die cast. Feels like die cast. Boiler and everything's die cast. I love that this hatch moves forward and back. Now it's interesting that the H10 has a smaller cab, like actual cab, but the roof is bigger on the H10. I mean, if you look at this, here's the H10's cab, and you put it right next to it. Well, I guess they're the same size. Yeah, I guess they're the same size. But man, do they look similar, don't they? These locomotives look really similar. It's almost as if they kind of shared the same boiler. However, no, they do not, as far as I can tell. So, yeah, the paint matches. They've been consistent. Broadway's been consistent with their paint. The DGLE is wonderful. I mean, it does look green. It actually looks like a sort of like charcoal, not really like a dark charcoal color, but it's actually green. I don't know how people can think this is black. But yeah, I'll turn this model around gently. Some people are like, oh, you're doing it wrong. Well, yeah, I guess so. All right, I'm going to do it like this, and then we're going to do it one more time. Some people are like, oh, you're holding it. I was like, look, I've handled models, many of different sizes, shapes, and even price range. So I think I know what I'm doing. He twisted down this piece. Oh my gosh. Well, let me get this bother out. Well, I guess that's part of the problem. Quality control. Yeah, Broadway, you kind of need to. You fixed it. Ooh, I like this detail. Unfortunately, this is not cloth; it's molded in, but it's painted pretty well. There's some crew figures in there, which is pretty cool. I don't think the window slides, which is kind of a shame, but it doesn't really bother me that much. The windows are pretty nice as well. Detail on this side. I mean, there's a smoke unit switch. I mean, I'm planning on putting TCS WOW in here as well. I'm trying to see where possibly the motor might be. I'm guessing it's right in here. Which we'll open up and take a look inside. It's part of, the whole idea of the in-depth review. Again, the painting is pretty nice, although the front wheel seems to have a little bit of thicker gold leaf lining than the left wheel, the rear driver wheel. Same thing on the other side, Pennsylvania. I mean, this is a really nice model. In terms of detail and paint quality, it's pretty up there, and the coal looks really cool. I like how this coal load looks. I don't know. It's not that much different than the other side. I must be there was the air pumps, but yeah. I don't know. I have to rate the details. I would give the details a solid 8, closer to a 9 than a 7. It's again. There's some. Yeah, I mean. Okay, this is a plastic smokestack, so just letting you know, if you have probably at some point this might melt. I don't know. The boiler's die-cast as far as I know, but and then I hear that there's smoke leaking on some of the other reviews, so I'm like, ah. So that's why I personally find smoke units to be a gimmick. Anywho, I'll see you guys in the next segment where I had the locomotive and tender open, and we'll see what's going on the inside of this model. Alrighty. Before we go look in the inside, I had to unscrew, and I found something interesting. So there's 2 screws in the front, and as you can see, there's 2 screws in the front that actually keep the front end of the locomotive together. So I thought that was pretty interesting how that works. Now I will have to unplug the tether. So what I'm gonna do, it's actually clipped on. So this is new. The tender is clipped. Interesting. Well, you learn a couple different things, but yeah, the front pilot is pretty much. It's got a wire there, so it's going inside to the locomotive. So this is a pickup. Obviously, it's insulated on... It is interesting. Okay, but this wire pickup is for right side. I think this is for left rail. This is for left rail, and this is for right rail. That is interesting. Usually, it's just an entire truck. Kind of like how this is situated here. This is right rail. This is left rail. Interesting. Very interesting. Same with here. This is right rail. Left. This is for left rail pickup and drivers. Pretty much I don't really have to mess with this kind of stuff, but it's very interesting to see what you find. What I want to do is that I'm curious about under here. And what I mean by under here is pretty much what's in the gearbox. What do we have? There we go. Oh, okay. Pretty interesting. It's a really interesting linkage. Now, and this is also pretty cool here. It's a really nice huge wheel. Let's see. Only got 3 screws right here, so we'll do that. Take 3 screws off. Just want to see what the gearbox looks like to see how it makes it tick, see how everything. And I don't know if you guys can't see, but there's that wiring thing down there. That's if you haven't seen this before, I can show you. It looks something like this. This is something that I took out from, like, I think the Broadway Limited Q2. That's like down in there. That is interesting. Because inside the H10, it's like way up in here. It's right there. It's in the boiler. So this is interesting how they did the thing on that. Oh, I also got to get this screw over here. So there's 4 screws you got to take off the bottom plate. We shall use this. Oh, and it comes with the rear truck. Interesting. It comes with the rear truck. I don't have to take the wheel truck off. Or rear truck, not wheel truck. Funny. Alright. There's some gears in there. Ooh. This is different. Usually the gear's like right above. So I'm guessing the worm gear tower is somewhere above between the wheels. Driving wheel in the front is interesting enough. Driving wheel in the front has tires, which is different. But I guess in terms of space, yes, the motor's going to be somewhere over here. So yeah, really interesting engineering. The gears are well lubed, which is good. Well lubed. I can tell the axles are also well lubed. That's wonderful as well. Good, good, good on Broadway. Oh, wait. No, the idler gear, there's an idler gear, and then far up in there, there's another gear. So the worm tower is actually above here. Interesting. I know that this is not geared, so yeah, interesting. Very interesting design. It's not something that I'm used to seeing in Broadways. This is something new to me. Now, unless we're talking about some other Broadway that I do not know about. I do not know. Hold on. There we go. I don't want him snagging on stuff. So yeah, the gearing looks pretty good. They have these dark black / gray gears, and they look pretty good. They look pretty good, and they look pretty solid. They're not something I would worry about. Broadway pretty much fixed a lot of their gear problems on their newer models, so in my opinion, these gears are pretty solid. Just don't do something stupid like, oh, let me hold on to the wheels while the motor's trying to do full power. Yeah, of course, you don't do that. But yeah, now the next part is to try and uncouple this tender. Well, there's 4 wheels. I actually got to unscrew those, but I'll do those later. The real question is, oh, never mind. There's a snap-on here, so it's not like here, right? Here's they don't have the snap-on thing. It just slots in. This has like a little snap-on thing. Just kind of hard to see. That snaps into the hole for the drawbar here, or well, the draw hole for the tender. That's interesting. That is interesting. I'm guessing because people are having problems with that. I don't think it was necessary to make this a clip-on thing. But, hey, to each their own. Man, this thing is tight in here. How am I supposed to get this on? Broadway, you make a picture about how to properly pry this plug out. Well, actually, no, it's on this side. The plug's different, guys. The plug is to go in here. Very interesting. So it's actually here. This actually goes into the locomotive. So don't yank on this side when you open this locomotive up. You got to do it from this side, is what it seems to be. Now, I'm trying to be careful. I'm going to try and wiggle it out. I'm going to keep the camera like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to wiggle this sucker out. Or I might as well just use my nails, because why not? Man, these plugs are always fun to take out. And there we go. The plug is out. Here's the tender, now free. Some backhead tender details. Oh, it's got a shovel. Nice. And it looks like a poking stick to make sure your fire is nice and even. Really nice there. Now, I believe we can probably open this up. I hope so. This side is not given. Well, no, it is now. In the next scene, I'll open this up. So I'll figure that out, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the inside, because it's not fun flipping the camera around and all that stuff. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next portion where we have the inside of the locomotive exposed. Okay, so this is rather interesting. This is something very new. So each of these little pins right here, they contact to that up there, which talks to whatever mess is in there. So when I do this project, it's going to be very interesting. I'm probably going to ditch this, and I'm probably going to ditch that. Even though it looks simple, I think they did this for maintenance reasons, because if you want to maintain this engine, for example, you have to do a lot of unplugging, and that is not really fun. Either way, this guy's going to lose a lot of this crap. But, yeah. Now we have this motor right here. This is one of those 5-pole motors that Broadway has been championing about. Here's the product number of what it is. If you want to look up that is, I'm guessing that is that represents 5-pole. I don't know what FK stands for, but you could probably look that up. Very different than that Walther's mainline motor looking thing over there. But, yeah. So it's cool that it does the cab lights on this board, and then it does the smoke unit, which that will be chunked out. And here's what holds that. That's what holds that thing in there. And I'm not really worried about weight. I can add weight in here if I want to, which would probably be a good idea at some point. But, yeah, this is what it looks like on the inside. It looks pretty solid. Here's one of those pickups over here. Now, I'm not really worried about doing this. This one's going to not really be that bad. Everything I need to know is right on this board. I got, let's see, DC, rail, track left. I can always unscrew this. Sorry. This is DC rail, but like you can always unscrew this and look on the bottom when you do a TCS WOW install. I don't know why it's not focusing. But yeah, there's track right, and then you can figure out which pin goes to what, and you can probably translate it. Or I'm going to do the easy thing and just, go bang, bang, boom, bang, boom, which is wiring. I'm not saying this just looks too complicated. It's just that, to be honest with you guys, there's just too much nonsense going on in here. This is, again, why I think Broadway should really just ditch the whole, Paragon stuff. I understand people like smoke, yes, smoke, but, however, there's been too many problems with these things, and it's really gimmicky. For novelty reasons, yeah, it's pretty cool. Smoke and HO, that's pretty cool, man. I agree. It is cool. However, it causes reliability issues, and I am not one who wants reliability issues in my models that I spent a lot of money for, and I do not want to have to send them in after I buy them and they already have problems to get them fixed. Yes, they are covered by warranty. However, I don't want to have to always rely on somebody else for my issues. I do not have a problem with, Broadway's service guys. They are amazing what they do. Some people might like them. Some people might not like them. I've had good experiences with them, so they're not a problem with me. I'm just at that level now where I can take care of myself, and I can take care of my own engines, and I can hardwire my own stuff to my own engines. That's just where I'm at now. I don't need, people to service my stuff. Look what I have done. I know it's a mess, but, I have taken out a motor from my T1 because this one was a 3-pole garbage one. It looks a lot like that one. I don't know. Something's going on in China, guys. And, I got an Arduino set. I can work with whatever I want and, and put whatever decoder I want in here, realistically. So, this is really unique. This is new to me, which will be a fun thing to do when I do this project. Once I get a new TCS, I gotta get a lot more TCS. I still got engines I gotta work on. I still got my decapies I gotta work on. I got so many other engines, but besides that, this looks pretty solid. The gear tower looks pretty solid. Worm gear pretty much goes down, feeds another gear in here, which contacts that gear that's over here, and then it talks to this gear over here on the axle gear for this locomotive. So, yeah. one of my issues is that the paint, this wheel lip on the trailing truck, I just realized is not painted, which is kind of a bummer. Um, Sorry, I'm just looking and then move the camera. So if you want to take the shell off, after you get the 2 screws in the rear undone, you have to make sure you unpin these. So make sure you unpin the grab iron so that you're able to take the shell off. So yeah, this looks pretty good. I don't see any metallurgy problems. I don't see any serious marks or anything. This looks like it's pretty well made when it came out. So yeah, I'm pretty confident with this. And I can't wait to, it's gonna be easy to read this. Broadway, keys making boards easy to read, please. It helps me a lot, especially when I do TCS WoW installs. I understand you make these models that are ready to run, ready to sound. I get it, but I don't want Paragon, please. It's not because I understand money, but just hook up with TCS or ESU. A lot of companies are doing it now, and they're very good at being able to be NMRA standards. That's another gripe I have. And the smoke unit reliability, I've seen other videos of people doing reviews. I can't live with that, guys. I'm sorry. It's a no bueno for me. And when I do the running session, I will not run the smoke unit. It's just something. This is my model. I bought it. This is not given to me, by somebody to do, a promotional or anything like that. I do not do that. I do not do promotionals. Unless it's a store who gives me good discounts, because they will probably give you good discounts as well. So I will, again, link in the description of the retailer who gave this to me, that I bought from, actually. But yeah, I will put the shell back on, and we will do a test run for this model. All right, guys. I'll see you in the next segment. Bye now. Oh, did you guys really think I forgot about the tender? Sorry. Well, here we are. This is what it looks like inside the tender. There's a new speaker type in here. It's kind of oval shaped. Very interesting. Very similar to the ones I've seen in that new Paragon 4 Centipede. So, yeah. Here it is, your typical Paragon 4 board with those keep alive capacitors in there. There's a little foam thing in there, I guess, to keep things from messing up. Nice plastic. Oh, no, this is metal. A metal cover. Sweet. Add some more weight. But, yeah. And there's also wires that go for the lighting of the two, for the two marker lights and the rear headlight. So, oh yeah, wow, that's interesting. Look, it's a bulge under there. It's not flat. Interesting. I'm guessing it's for the storage of the speaker. So that's why the coal load's kind of high. Very interesting. But yeah, this is it's got a lot of space in here. You could definitely fit TCS WoW in here. My only concern is the metal, so I'll probably have to put a lot of black tape in here or Captain tape to make sure nothing, causes a lot of heat and causes a burn for, those TCS decoders, which shouldn't happen. So, yeah, this will be very interesting once I get this guy all settled together. Anyways, that's it for the tender. I know, I kind of tricked you guys. Kind of did. Kind of did. Anywho, we'll get to the running session, and then I'll give my final thoughts about the locomotive. All right, things to talk about. In terms of sounds, chuffing is new to me. Now, the regular sounds, the other features and whatnot are still the same. I do like the special whistle feature you can do on function 25. Not sure if that's Pennsylvania accurate. However, it sounds good to me. But if we were going to be a Revit counter, I'd have to say TCS has better options. The sound files are rather similar. Chuffing's new. However, the chuffing sounds a lot like TMCC Lionel, guys. It sounds like this T1, this Lion Master TMCC T1 I used to have that came out in the early 2000s. I mean, chuffing sounds really close to that, and it's, in my opinion, kind of pretty much disappointing. The whistle sounds like the Streamline K4 I have before I turn it into TCS WoW, and I could tell you what, it sounds a lot better now. The lighting effects are great in my opinion. I like the white size of the marker lights. I think those are supposed to be white, not yellow. And of course the rear. You got the rear headlight that works. Not as bright, but it's fine. I like the cab lights. That's pretty cool, pretty nice. And they got the front pilot marker lights, really nice. Now, the jeweled marker lights on top do not light up, but do they look good. Again, this is a really pretty model. It's just a shame that the sound files quality could be a lot better, in my opinion. They sound not 16-bit or 32-bit. They don't sound like that to me. Some people are like, "Are you deaf?" Look, I've worked with a TCS-equipped Bachmann over here, and I gotta say, if you look at the Bachmann compared to this, of course it's bigger, but man, does this guy look chonkier. The boiler, at least. But, and I have a Broadway 1361 as well. There's my 611. Now you're probably wondering, what? Is that your 611? I thought that was the club's. Well, I got my own. That was a Korean-made one, which I will do a separate review on at some point. And there's my T1 where I fixed the motor in there, replaced the motor, put a new TCS decoder in there, make sure all the wiring is correct and all good shape. No shorts, no nothing on my layout. Big test will always be at my clubhouse. And there's 5511 over there. But yeah, back to this model. I like it. I love this E6. I really like this model. Would I get a brass one? Personally, no. I think what I can work with right here will work really well. To be honest with you, it's very similar to the H10 in terms of how you're going to have to wire this thing, except the tether's back here, and a lot of what you can read is over here as well. But you're probably going to rely on this tether. I haven't seen if there was wording on this tether right here on the tender. But once you do a lot of Broadways, at this point, you know what you're going to get. Right rail is the first wire. Motor minus or motor plus, you can always figure that out. Make sure you don't, heat shrink anything. Just test that first before you heat shrink, and you can always swap them between pin 2 and 7. Left rail, we already know, is pin 8. And then in between, pin 3 is always 3.3 volts. Pin 4 is usually your sensor or your smoke sensor or something like that, some of the sensors. You can always use that for like one of the lighting outputs, like cab light or marker lights, if you want. Same thing on the H10 that I have done with the 8022. Pin 5 is going to be your ground for your main headlight in the front. Pin 6, you can either use, you can use the cab light as a function or the marker lights, to each their own. And then pin 7, we come back again. It's either motor minus or motor plus, depending on how Broadway has done this. You can always follow the wire too to where it goes. That's one other way to find it, and always to test it in incremental steps. And then, again, pin 8 is the left rail. So it's pretty straightforward in my opinion. Again, it's one of those simple things. Just follow the wires and see where they go. Yes, it's going to take some time. I know this model is going to probably take some time to figure out, and probably maybe around a 6 or 8, 7, 8 hour job, possibly. So, yeah, that's probably what it's going to take for this model. When I first did the H10 as well, I'll probably do the H10 after this one because it's more prominent. I'd love to have this locomotive running by the fair time with TCS, so I can use some of my heavyweight trains and cars, so I can recreate the 1927 Lindenberg Special run. So it would be pretty fun to do that. Obviously, I'm going to lose smoke, and I did show a little smoke, and I said I wouldn't run smoke, and I didn't. But in idle, I wanted to see how the smoke worked, and it came out of the stack this time, so that's good. I didn't see anything leaking on each of the sides, so good on Broadway for this quality control on my model, I guess. But for other people, I've seen issues. So yeah, it could improve, Broadway. You got to talk to your QC team over there and make sure they're hammering on that, okay? We can get into a whole other can of worms next time. Again, the detail's beautiful, but, you know, piece behind there and the thickness of these, you know, plates, they don't have to be die cast. They could have been brass or plastic, and they would have been, you know, correct proportions or thickness, kind of like this Bachmann one over here. A little bit better, you know. Other than that, guys, I have to overall rate this model around, since there's new sounds in here, but the whistle's the same and the sounds are pretty much the same. And to be honest with you, the sounds are not that great. The motor is running really well, pretty reliable. Gearbox seems to be very reliable, and so is the gear quality. So I'd have to say that the locomotive, you know, for everything to be pretty reliable, excluding the smoke box, that's pretty much a 6 out of 10. Now, the decoder, in an overall accuracy, it doesn't mix the marks. Maybe like, you're giving this a 6 out of 10. Well, here's the thing: 6 is an average. All right, six is an average. 5 is like, it's okay, it's fine. You know, it's fine. It doesn't mean it's terrible. It means it's fine. If it goes below 5, then, well, it's, yeah, I think we'll know. I think we both know what's going on there. But a 6 for just, you know, the mechanism, you know, pretty good mechanism. There could have had metal brass gears. That would have brought it up to a 7. Yeah, seriously, almost if it had brass gears, or, you know, not just a brass worm gear, but metal or brass gears, that would have been pretty cool. But overall, the details are pretty good. It's just, you know, some of those minor inaccuracies can be pointed out and fixed. Molded detail for the curtains. I mean, you could have done like a little plastic, or maybe it would be cool to have cloth, but I think that would be pushing it for Broadway's budget. However, they did price this model for $480. And that is why I'm going to have to sit between 6 and a 7. Closer to the 7, but not closer to a 5. Closer to the 7, this model is. The sounds are still outdated, guys. I'm sorry. I don't like the sounds on these Broadway models. Broadway, I keep hammering this, is that they should team up with either ESU or TCS. I would prefer TCS. I like TCS decoders. I mean, look at this. They're simple to easy to understand. And if you don't want to have to do the old CV thing, they have their own thing that you can do. There's two methods. There's 2 methods to this. And it's not hard. It really isn't. There's 2 methods on how you can map your locomotive and its functions. You can do it on the controller without having to go into function CVs or anything like that. And that's the controller that I use at home. So it's just, you can either do this or you can do the CVs. CVs is not a problem with me. You know, it's not that hard. The TCS is good in my book. Really good. Some people might disagree. I don't know. It is up to you. ESU, I've seen a Q2 have ESU put in it, and it sound amazing. However, I don't really want to play. I don't want to buy a lock sound programmer. This is why I have TCS for most of my Steam and pretty much going to be my diesels as well, is because TCS, you know, it's so simple. it is so simple to understand, and it's simple to read and understand and work with, and everything I can mostly do on my controller. I don't have to use a computer program or anything. I don't have to spend extra money. Stop trying to make me spend extra money, guys. I'm trying to do stuff. I'm trying to make it simple. I want reliability, consistency. And that's what TCS has been giving me, consistency and reliability. I've only had a couple of duds, and that's probably because of my own user error on the... And they were both die cast. I had issues with that, probably because of my wiring issue where some of the wires were pinched under the cab. I fixed that, and I made sure I put like a black tape so that the metal doesn't touch anything where the wires connect to the pins. Same thing with the Streamline K4. I fixed whatever was going on in there. Haven't had an issue since. Probably will come back to that and make sure everything's, all cleaned up in there, nice and dandy. I haven't had any issues with that engine since either. So, just saying, most of it's probably gonna be user error if you don't know what you're doing. I'm not a complete expert, but I've done enough engines where I can kind of say I'm pretty good at it. So, yeah. Besides that tangent, this is a fine model for ready-to-roll people. If you want someone that's a budget and you want an E6, you're really good at working on your own stuff, get a brass one. If you just want ready to roll, see if you can get a good deal on these guys. It's just, I'm sorry, it's just too much money. To a retail price at most stores, especially online like Train World and all those guys, they want $480. $480 for this little engine. This is not big. This is around the same size as my H10, guys. That's really expensive. And the H10 is a die-cast model. And it was cheaper than this. So I can't... and that was a new tooling at the time, even though, yes, it was 12 years old, but still, it's too expensive. I'm sorry. It's too expensive for $480. If you bought it out there for $480 and you think it's fine, dandy price, good for you. I'm just telling you here right now, I disagree with that strongly. $480 is not worth a Pennsylvania Railroad E6 for DCC and sound. I would rather get DCC ready and put whatever decoder I want in this. Broadway, take the hint, please. Anyways, guys, that's going to cut it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or anything like that, please put them in the comments down below. I'm not going to ask you to do anything else. That's it. If you liked it, whatever you want. Anywho, this is Pensy Joe. I'll see you guys next time in the next review, or whatever I do next. All right, well, anyways, bye now, guys. Have a good one.